Welcome back to the Broom Boot Camp podcast, guys. Another episode. I'm Matt Morris, Vice President of Fitness, and if you've been watching, this is Trish Pena, Vice President of Marketing, and we've been doing quick hitters. This is gonna be another quick hitter about a single topic that we'll go deep on, and this is a topic I think both of us have had experience with. And I know there's a lot of us out there that probably are currently wearing one, and that's wearables in general. So Apple Watches, Fitbits, Whoops. Yep. Garmin, I think, has a brand that you can do a tracker. There's heart rate monitors also that you can wear around your chest. There's a lot of things out there. Wearables aren't going to go anywhere. They're going to continue to increase the capabilities of these things. But I think we're going to just talk about wearables from a personal experience, what to stay away from. Yeah. I think from mistakes that I know I've made, that Trisha made. So hopefully just to help you guys out for long-term success in your fitness journey. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about mine first. So I think I bought an Apple Watch. Was it 2023? So when I first started training, I had to keep time somehow. Yep. Same. Yeah, I had to keep time somehow, and I didn't have an Apple Watch at first. I had just a regular watch where you the ticker, like a ticker. Child stopwatch. I realized I looked down at my wrist section. And I was like, okay, the ticker's at the 20-second mark. That means I had to do math to figure out how much time is left. I was like, this isn't good. So I wouldn't want to be in a camp with Matt. Yeah, I bought an Apple Watch and it was just bulky. So I was like, I got to get something else. The Apple Watch really just came out in I think 2017 or a little bit before that. So I got one and I was hooked. Probably like you guys are currently, or when you got it, was like, oh, I got to close my ring. Yep. I got to close the ring. And there was challenges you could do with people that you're friends with through your phone. You could challenge them for a week. Whoever I think had the most calorie burns or closed their ring the most within a week won. So things like that I liked. And then I quickly realized, yes, I was training a lot, but I quickly realized I was chasing a number. And I think over time that wasn't great because I lost a bunch of weight that I shouldn't have lost. I think I lost 20 pounds in the first 3 months I started wearing that thing because I was just worried about the number, a thing on my wrist and not really how I felt. So I stopped wearing it. Do I still wear one for the Broom Boot Camp Live? I try to, just from a time perspective, but the only reason I would wear one is just to know what time it is, not for a calorie burn. So that's why I stopped wearing.
I also was a trainer back in the day, and that's why I also started to wear an Apple Watch. I think I got one around the same time I started training, which was, I don't even know, 2018?
Way back. She old.
No, whatever. And I also have kids, and so it was nice if there was an emergency, I knew that hey, they were on my wrist, because when you're training at camp, you're 45 minutes where you're not on your phone at all. So I would get nervous that if something was happening at school or whatever, I could always swipe up my text. So it was really for time purposes, and then to make sure I was connected to my phone for my kids' sake. But then I got to the point where I started to dive into the numbers of it all, and really the calorie thing, which doing some research is not even actually accurate because everyone burns calories differently. And so I think it started to mess with me mentally because I was like, okay, well, I've eaten this many amount of calories, but I've burned this many amount of calories. So then I can, I started doing that math in my head, which is not the way to live your life. And I think I was actually probably the opposite. I got to the point with my mental health where I started to gain weight because I was overanalyzing everything I was doing. And so I kind of got in this weird phase where I was trying so hard to lose weight because of this stupid number that I ended up gaining weight. And then also from that, it was how much I was moving. I do like it from the aspect of knowing my heart rate. I will say I knew in camp, because I take camp consistently, and I would know if I was actually pushing myself hard because of my heart rate, or if I was just you kind of think you pushed yourself hard. But that is one good thing I think about the Apple Watch is you can track your heart rate. So I do like it from that aspect. But the number of calories that you burn, really, if you have any sort of mental health issues, especially with eating disorders, to me that does not do anyone it does not service anyone in a positive way. And so I actually, after I had my third child, I stopped wearing it because I was wearing it for a while and I was like, this is not helping me. This is not serving me in a right way. And I stopped wearing it. And I actually I just talked about this in another podcast that we did, but really leaning into how am I feeling? How, when I go to camp, how am I feeling, rather than always making sure, oh shoot, there's only 20 minutes left in camp and I got to burn 50 more calories. Like that shouldn't be what I'm thinking about in camp. And that's literally what was going through my head. So I got rid of the watch. I don't actually train anymore, so I had no really reason to wear it. I gave it to my kids to play with. So I feel better right now. I'm in a spot where I feel better not wearing it. Not to say I won't go back to wearing an Apple Watch because of the heart rate. And when I do like to go for long runs, so I like to track how long I ran, just from a competition perspective with me versus me. But other than that, I don't really like them beyond those.
So Trish, so anyone out there, and I literally looked this up before we did this podcast because I knew this was a topic. So what Trish just talked about is totally true. So if you don't think that these Apple Watches or Fitbits are overstating, actually understating your calorie expenditure, there was a study last year in 2022, and they tested an Apple Watch 6. They tested a Fitbit and one other one I can't remember. And they studied this pretty intensively, and they found out the Apple Watch is really good at measuring heart rate. Like, it's really good at it. It is, all three of these that I just named are horribly inaccurate on counting your calories. I think from there was a variance of over 25%. So if you think you have an accurate calorie count on your Apple Watch or whatever you're wearing, no. And I know a lot of us probably use that to gauge how much food we're going to eat. Don't rely on something that's inaccurate. And this was studied last year. It was first studied, I think, when the Apple Watches first came out, 2019. And they did another study last year, and they came to the same conclusion that it's good to measure heart rate. It obviously counts your steps.
Yep.
If you like a step count goal for the day or for the week, but it is horribly inaccurate on counting your calories. Okay, so don't use it for that. Stop right now, because I guarantee you're probably wondering why maybe you started gaining weight, but you did the math off your Apple Watch.
Yep.
Because it's not good quality math. So if you're using it for that reason, I suggest that you really just start counting the grams of protein you're eating per day. Get that thing over 100 for sure. If you want to know how much to eat, just take your body weight, really times it by 0.8 or 1, and that's how many grams of protein you should eat. But don't use it for calorie counting.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. It's not a good thing. They studied this because I think people quickly realized they had these calorie numbers that weren't true, and they kept gaining weight, so they studied that. So don't use it for that.
And I mean, if you are in that position where you really want to know, just you have a goal, maybe you're getting married, whatever it is, if you go to burn boot camp, schedule a focus meeting. Trainers, I was a trainer, so I feel like I can put myself in that category. So we'll help you kind of understand where you don't need to use the calorie counter on your watch. Simplify is really the best thing that you can do. Just like Matt, so focus maybe on one macronutrient of the most important one is protein to hit those goals. So try and get rid of the excess information, because it's probably, to Matt's point, not even accurate anyways, and it's going to end up not helping you reach your goals. So talk to the professionals, talk to people who are experts in the industry to help you get to those goals, and do whatever is best at the end of the day for your mental health. Just make sure you're happy.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. If you have any other questions about wearables, I know this is it's funny. We actually, Matt Googled it, trending topics, and it's a hot topic right now. So we'd love to know what you guys think about wearables. Hit us up on social media, follow us on Instagram.
Let's talk about Whoop real quick, bro.
You want to talk about Whoop?
We both wear Whoop.
Okay.
We were hoping to get a partnership with Whoop a couple years ago, and they sent us some ones to wear, and I wore it for at least 3 months, and I thought...
You wore it for 3 months?
Maybe.
Wow.
2 months.
Long time.
Maybe 9, I don't know. I wore it for at least a month. And
catching him in a lie.
I thought it was cool to see your sleep progress, or your sleep performance. But then I quickly realized there's other ways to gauge that, and I think I was just trying to rush through my sleep to see my sleep at the next day. And I don't know, I just feel like if it said I was 100%, I still feel like I wasn't recovered. So I don't know how accurate that was. And I felt like the things I can do now to sleep better is just I keep my place at 63 degrees.
A cozy vibe?
Cold? No, cold.
I know.
Cold.
Well, then you get under your blankets and then you're cozy.
Yep. Your body's got to cool down to sleep well. And I felt like that thing right there and taking magnesium at night helps me. You call it magnesium cocktail?
I just recently started doing a magnesium mocktail because there's no alcohol in it.
Oh, mocktail. Magnesium mocktail.
Yeah.
So I did those 2 things in my sleep. I felt way better, and I don't need a Whoop for that. So that's my personal opinion about Whoop. So that's the other wearable I forgot I tried out.
Yeah. Well, I also did Whoop. Sounds like a drug. I wore a Whoop for a little bit, and I think, I don't know, maybe some of you feel this way. I am in my feels and like mental. I think I struggle a lot with. I know I struggle with mental health, and the competition for me of like seeing these numbers, I think
strain. What do they call it? The strain.
The strain. It just didn't help. It didn't suit me. I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, oh shoot, I didn't get enough sleep last night. Like that doesn't help me when I wake up the next morning to like have a great day. So I think
that is true.
At the end of the day, I was like, this isn't. Listen, I think some people, they might like it. I just am not in a mental space where that works for me. So I'm not going to use a Whoop. But if you actually, feel better by looking at that data, then like you do you, boo.
That's another thing. I didn't have the time to go through all that data.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not doing well in my life. So I'm like, I'm a C+ student.
Okay. That's wearables. Where can they find this? They can find this on YouTube.
Apple Podcasts, wherever you
Spotify,
listen to podcasts.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts.
And then you can hit us up on social media. Matt loves when people fall in his DMs. So slide in those DMs, ask him those questions. He'll respond to you. And make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing.
Do it.
All right.
2 claps on 2, guys. 1, 2.
Bye.